Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Let's talk about when magic becomes toxic. Alright, so let's discuss when magic becomes toxic in a second. But first off, I got a little announcement for you guys. I just submitted today a mixture of magical theater and magical mechanics, the psychology of magic and the physical workings of magic. I combined them into one text that I'm calling Magical Mastery. I just submitted it today, but it's already gonna be listed on my bookshelf and all that stuff, and it's gonna be available before this video comes out because I'm making this video um, like a couple of weeks before I'm gonna schedule it. And this is my third attempt at making this video because my computer keeps messing up and not saving the file when I'm done. So we're gonna try this a third time. Let's hope that the third time is the charm, right? So cross your fingers with me. So, magic can become toxic. Let's see, magic is a useful tool, but should not be relied upon to fix all of your problems. A good thing that I just came up with in the last recording was magic should have mundane action first, where you tried to effectively solve your problem. And if that didn't work, you put magic in there to help give you a boost, and then you follow it by mundane action after that. It's a sandwich. Magical sandwich. I like it. This is going to generate a meme, probably by me. Anywho, so you should always try to solve your problems and obtain your desires through mundane means first, and any spell should be followed up by mundane action. I've seen people just do spell after spell without any follow through in the physical world, only to complain that their workings aren't becoming fruitful. If you work with a particular set of spirits, oh yeah, hold on a second. So, yeah, if you do spell after spell after spell, and your stuff is not manifesting, you're relying too much on the magic and not enough on the mundane action follow through. It can, it's like thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers don't do junk, right? You got to actually do physical action in the world to bring that energy into the physical world to make that change happen. Yeah, we're going to keep going here. So my next point is if you work with a particular set of spirits, they may become bothered by you calling upon them too much. This goes back in with doing spell after spell after spell, right? If, just like anybody else that you might ask for assistance with a whole bunch of things, you don't want to rely on people too much to help you out with stuff. It's like always asking for rides from that one particular person or always bugging them. Anyone have a friend that calls you up every single time they're going through some junk and they just become such a drag to talk to. Please help me with this. I can't deal with this. My emotions, my emotions, my emotions. My wants, my wants, my wants. My complaints, my complaints, my complaints. You'd get annoyed. So spirits, like, with the exchange of like energy and stuff, you give energy or something like that, and then they help you out. That exchange is good. But when it becomes too much of, knocking on somebody's door, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. It's like somebody could even come to your house once a week and pay you $5 to help them with a chore once a week. Then it becomes every other day. Then it becomes every day. It can get kind of annoying. Yeah, there's exchange there, but the spirits or deities or whatever you believe in, what have you, because it's all about the all. Read the Kabbalion. Yeah, you should. They want us to do our own stuff. They want us, like, whatever patron you're following or whatever, I'm pretty sure they want to see you succeed. And just like a kid growing up and going out on their own, unless you're an overly attached helicopter parent or something, you want to see your kid get independent and succeed, right? Yeah, think I made my point there. So, it can also be toxic when magical workings aren't executed properly, like impulsive magic, which is another video I'm going to make, and the results do more harm than good due to their improper execution, like phrasing your intention wrong and fallout happening that hurts the things around you. So the example that I've used in my last 2 recordings of this video is your rent's too high, You're really short on money this month. Maybe you could push having to pay the rent off, right? Well, what if your apartment burns down? Guess what? You don't have to pay it. Or you're complaining that, gas is too high, gas is too costly. Every time I fill out my car, it costs $60 and it sucks. Well, what if your car breaks down and the only thing you can afford is a smaller car with a smaller gas tank, right? Whenever you do magic, you have to understand that it's all in the fine print. Whatever, magic finds the shortest way from point A to point B to get you what you want. And it's like an arrow if you have an arrow with a target, but but there's obstacles in the way, it's still going to fly through those obstacles to get there. Provided your aim is good and all that stuff. But you guys kind of get what I'm talking about, right? See my video on phrasing your intention, if this is not as clear as it should be. Yeah, I think I covered that point there. So when performing magic causes you to overdo certain things like fasting, or you're driven to use substances to maintain a spiritual perspective, that's negative and toxic, because these things can damage your body. Doing too much fasting can be damaging. Focusing too much on studying and other things like that, where you're not giving yourself proper nutrition, is damaging. Using substances to obtain a spiritual perspective and a spiritual moment can be damaging. It doesn't even depend on the type of substance, but because you're changing your brain chemistry, it can become a crutch where the only way that you can obtain that magical sense of awareness and getting into that mental state to do magic and stuff can become dependent on the use of those substances. I had these friends that were extremely skilled magical people, but they engaged in the use of substances on a daily basis to heighten their level of awareness, right? That became a crutch for them, as much as I'd hate to say it, you know? So let's move on to the next point here. When you focus too much on your practice, that it affects your personal life. Like less time with family, friends, like, if you turn into a hermit like I did 11 years ago, where all you're doing is focusing on your magical practice and stuff. I mean, I needed that at the time because I went through a whole bunch of stuff and I needed to be alone to process it and all that. But, if all you're doing is focusing on spiritual stuff and you're not focusing on anything else that needs to get done, like work or spending time with family or your significant other or your spouse or anything like that, that magic is becoming a toxic thing for you because it's damaging other things around it. Hopefully that made sense there. Let's see. Oh, this is a big one. Synchronicities, right? So synchronicities is when you see signs like numbers and, you're asking whatever entities you're working with to give you a sign or something, or you're thinking about something, and then you see a symbol or a bird fly overhead or something cross the road, or some email comes in or a phone call happens and you're like, oh my god, this is it, this is my sign, or you get the ideas of, oh, I should totally do this, this is just what I've been looking for, I've been asking for this for so long, and here's this opportunity, or things like that. Do your research, logically think through it, because you might be ignoring some things like, is it financially feasible? Are the people that I'm going to be working with, do I know them well enough? Could this be dangerous? Could this affect another part of my life? If you rely too much on, this is a sign, I got to follow it, rather than actually thinking it through, that could be damaging and or harmful. So on to our next point. Let's see where I put synchronicities here. Yep. When you blame a magical working for your inability to get something done, like not following through with your mundane action. If you think that your magical working was not effective enough, or it was a failure, or it just wasn't executed properly, yeah, self-reflection and building on your skills. That's fantastic. That's great. But if, some people, like, I've seen a bunch of stories where like something bad happens or whatever, and they get mad at God, right? Why could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? Whatever. And you blame some other external force for something that happens in your life. Granted, deities might be, or entities might be teaching you a lesson, or you might be negatively affected by an entity. But here's the thing. Regardless of the circumstance, you can always find a way out. You can always find a way to rise above it. You can think better. You can find a way to solve a problem. Every situation in life is an escape room. There's always an exit door somewhere. You just got to figure it out, right? You got to play the game, and you got to figure it out. It is your fault, or it is your responsibility to go back to the drawing board and try again when something doesn't work out. Don't give up. Don't blame somebody else, and don't give magic up. Oh, this burnt me once. Yeah? Well, you want to know what? If you've ever been in a car accident, that didn't mean you stopped driving for forever, did it? You got your heart broken once in a relationship. That didn't mean you ever stopped trying to find someone to be with, did it? Don't give up on this stuff. You know, every situation in life has a ebb and flow and a give and take. It takes two to tango, even if that means you and the entities that you're working with. Chances are, if something didn't work out, it's like I said, it's because of the way that you phrased your intention, the energy input versus the output, or just the way that you went through the mundane action. So don't blame the magic. See what you can do to fix it. Let's see. Um, hmm. Where is that one? Let's see. Did I talk about? So, let's see. Yep. Don't use magic as a crutch. Don't rely on it too much. And you always got to be aware of what you need to do to follow through, or try to follow through first. Um, Another thing when magic can become toxic is when people practice gatekeeping, like people being part of a magical system and down talking others that are not part of the same or a different magical system. People that think that they are holier than thou because they've been practicing longer. Some people have gifts, other people don't have gifts. My fiance can do a bunch of stuff that I can't. I can do things that she can't. Does that make her better than me? No. Does that make me better than her? No. It's a different skill set. The other thing is grimoires, and I have a chip on my shoulder about this. I'll put my feet on my soapbox here. The Simon Necronomicon. I've gotten even a comment the other day, maybe 2 or 3 days ago. You know, it's written by H.P. Lovecraft and it's fake, right? Yeah, that's right. I'm making fun of you on my channel. Deal. Well, one, it's not written by H.P. Lovecraft. The only references to H.P. Lovecraft. Two, the only references to H.P. Lovecraft are in the introduction by Simon, where it relates Azagthoth to Azathoth. Ooh, similar spelling. And the Cthulhu to Cthulhu. Cthulhu meaning man from Cutha, meaning the man from the underworld. Ooh, or the name. Could be a coincidence that just happened to be on the same that name happened to be on the manuscript, right? But the way that I like to think about it, actually, is perhaps it was given that title to tie into the H.P. Lovecraft fame stuff, just to give it a little bit more, quote, notoriety or flair or whatever, to kind of maybe even draw some more controversy and stuff. Regardless of how it's made or whatever, it is effective. Ask me or any of my other buddies. I could come up with a magical system right now out of the lore from The Legend of Zelda, and it would be effective for me because I'm able to construct it within certain parameters, certain structures that all magical systems have, which you can explore in this and this, by the way. And that's what makes it effective. If something doesn't work for you, don't use it. I tie my shoes differently than you. I use silverware differently than you. I probably drive differently than you in terms of posture and all that, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I wear this. Do you? Does it work for you? No. Who cares? Works for me. The point is, magic is highly personal to everybody. A big thing on this particular idea, you can find in my Efficacy of Grimoires video. So I'm just going to leave it at that. If you want more of a rant on it, check out that video because I think it's a fairly recent one. Let's keep going. So, when magic is not performed properly or with enough care and negative fallout happens due to those factors, I mean, phrasing intention and all that stuff, impulsiveness or not thinking things through, I've already talked about the example of the car and the apartment burning or whatever, but I would like to share an example with you. So I went through a pretty traumatic time years ago where I wanted to basically, at the time, I was in so much pain, I wanted to forget all of it. And I did. I had this giant mental block, just complete concrete with duct tape. Just you couldn't break through it in my head. Where I blocked out a good 2 years of my life. And that's because back in the day I did something because I wanted to do that. Now I can't remember. I could barely remember anything. It took a long time just to open that door a little bit. I was impulsive back then, and it was something that I completely regret. So that kind of thing, might want to think that stuff through before you do it. I'm going to make a video on impulsive magic That's probably going to come out after this one, so more on that later video. Let's see. When someone uses magic as a means of revenge or payback against those that have wronged them, hexes and curses have their place and should not be done without planning, care, thought, and reflection. So, like I said, I do have a video on when to use curses and things like that. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but curses and hexes and things have their place, but you always got to try that mundane stuff first. And well, first of all, if somebody does something negative to you, you can let it go. You can forget it. You can move on. You really can. You don't always need to slap somebody with a curse or something. But if they are acting like a gnat in your face during the summer when you're walking through the woods and you're trying to enjoy life and they're just there in front of your face, you got this entire world to fly around in and you're in front of my face, right? If they're that annoying and you've tried everything to get them out of your life or to get them to stop doing stuff and it still hasn't worked, plan an effective banishing, hex, or binding or curse that is appropriate for the situation. There's plenty of books on it and things like that. That would be effective for it. But phrase your intent and everything that this is for the benefit between you and them, because there's negativity going on between the two of you or whatever. There's negativity going on between the person you're targeting and somebody else, and you want to fix that, right? But don't let the fallout go anywhere else. You got to target that energy. You got to target that intention and that spell work, because spell work finds the fastest way from point A to point B. And unless it's super specific, you're spraying a fire hose on a dish rather than using a sink on a dish. Let me know in the comments if you get that. And then, let's see, my next point. When someone focuses on knowledge of magic more than practice. This is a big one. This is like earning a degree and never using it. So I have a truckload of books. I've written 5 books, and in Magical Theater, you can actually find a chapter on the cautions of being a bookworm. I mean, I am a bookworm. I read like 1-2 books a month. Luckily enough, I work at a bookstore. But the main idea is if you gain a truckload of knowledge and you never use it, then what's the point of reading about it after all? Reading fiction books and stuff is one thing. Ooh, that's a good story. But if you're learning about how to do something, that's like earning a degree where you could get a fantastic job or something in something that you really enjoy, but you just never go after it. You never use it. Magic is a skill. It's like being a master of martial arts and somebody comes up and punches you and you don't fight back. I know that the point is to not fight back and using fighting as a last resort, but same kind of situation. And somebody might flame me for this, but like if you okay, people that own firearms, even police officers and stuff, they think that if you own a firearm, then it's your responsibility to carry it. Sheepdogging and stuff like that. If you have it, you would much rather have it and never need to use it than to need to use it but not have it. It is a tool. Magic is a tool. A car is a tool. The idea is that if you have access to this type of ability, then definitely use it. Situations in your life come up, use it. Different things in your life that you want to change, use it. Don't just know about it. Get the motivation. Do it. Get it done. There is no point in being able to do something and not using it. People can call themselves experts on stuff, but are they? Right? It's one thing to be a researcher, but it's another thing to actually be a practitioner, because you gain more through experience than you would reading stuff. That's why when you're learning how to be a teacher, you have a practicum. You have you learn a bunch of book smarts and then you go out and you practice it, right? So, in conclusion, basically, magic can become toxic if it's used improperly, not used enough, or relied upon too much, or the different ways that you access it, or how often you practice it, are negative towards anything else in your life. Too much of anything can be a bad thing. So I hope that I made sense in my entire video here, because this was literally my 3rd take in doing it, because my computer messed up a bit and for some reason was not recording them. So I apologize for any little skips or jumps and different things like that. But 3rd time's a charm. Hopefully this one does work out. So yeah, remember, just be careful and be focused and be effective with your practice, and make sure that you're balancing your life out and that you think things through and you gain knowledge and you use it effectively. So, yep, this has been When Magic Becomes Toxic, And you guys can let me know down in the comments. You can connect with me on any of my social media. You can support me on Patreon, and be sure to check out my books and things. All of that information you can find at the end of this video. So remember, be responsible and be effective with your magic, and good hunting. Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting!